We have to mention Burton. We have to mention Burton.
Thank you.
Secretary of Education, Innovation and Energy, Assemblyman Marcelin Melville-Jack, Bishop Claude Berkeley, our esteemed feature speaker, President of the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association, Mrs. Antonia Tika de Freitas, and other national officers elected and appointed, Administrator in the Division of Education, Innovation and Energy, Mrs. Denise Toby Kwashi, School Supervisor 3, Miss Sherian Rollock Sackett, and other school supervisors, Tobago District Retirees 2019 to 2021, President of the Association of Principals of Public Secondary Schools, Ms. Shara Carrington James, and the Tobago representative, Ms. Cindy Ramnarine, President of Tobago Organization of Primary Schools Principal Association, Mr. Nigel Hercules, Ms. Marian Kent, school psychologist attached to the Division of Education, Innovation and Energy, members of the media, teachers, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is indeed my pleasure to welcome you all to the 81st anniversary of the Tobago Teachers Get-Together. Get-Together, similar to Month of the Teacher activities and Sports and Family Day, facilitates a level of interaction that allows teachers to share their concerns and their ideas, motivate and encourage others, resulting in much needed rejuvenation for our field of work. While we are experiencing some trying times, it is not all doom and gloom, sadness and frustration. However, we have learned a lot and have been able to add various skill sets that will have us better poised for what is being termed the new normal. Evidence today, as we are grateful to have planned and host today's activity in such a format. We have observed that it is now trending to quote Calypsonians when giving remarks. So I quote, "Better days are coming," sung by soca star Patrice Roberts. We owe it to ourselves to maintain a positive mindset. Stakeholders in education, it is through a healthy, professional relationship that we will see the progress desired in the Tobago space, which ultimately impacts the national environment. Once again, welcome. I now present to you our chairman for today's proceedings, senior teacher and dedicated SEA class teacher at Pembroke Anglican, public speaking coach, and reliable chairman of our hard-working district executive, Mrs. Petrina John Kirk.
Secretary of Education, Innovation and Energy, Assemblyman Maslin Melville Jack, Bishop Claude Berkeley, feature speaker, President of the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association, Ms. Antonia Tika de Freitas, Administrator in the Division of Education, Innovation and Energy, Ms. Denise Toby Kwashi, Tobago Officer, Mr. Braden Roberts, School Supervisor 3, Ms. Sherry-Ann Rollocks Hackett, and all other supervisors present. Tobago District Retirees 2019 to 2021. President of the Association of Principals of Public Secondary Schools, Ms. Shara Carrington James, and the Tobago representative, Ms. Cindy Ramnarine. President of the Tobago Organization of Primary School Principals Association, Mr. Nigel Hercules. Ms. Marian Kent, school psychologist attached to the Division of Education, Innovation and Energy. Members of the media, teachers, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I join with our former speaker and bid you welcome to our professional development seminar. Your presence at today's activity indicates a commitment to your professional advancement in the field of education. The current climate presents us with numerous challenges and has caused many of us to question the efficacy of our strategies. But Fred DeVito, a mind-body trainer and former teacher himself, suggests if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. Today's program has been designed especially for you, and it aims to provide you, or esteemed colleagues, with further assistance as we continue to maneuver the intricacies of these unpredictable times. The Tobago district challenges us to embrace the new normal, be driven by passion, and lead through innovation. I know that we are passionate about our vocation, and although the challenges are innumerable, I am confident that we possess the resilience to embrace the change and succeed. At this time, I invite greetings from our fraternal organizations and stakeholders. We begin with the President of the Tobago Organization of Primary Schools Principals Association, Mr. Nigel Hercules, and he will be followed by President of the Association of Principals of Public Secondary Schools, Ms. Shara Carrington James.
Secretary of Education, Innovation and Energy, Assemblyman Marcelin Melville Jack, Bishop Claude Berkeley, featured speaker, President of the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association, Ms. Antonio Tica de Freitas, Ms. Antonia Tica de Freitas, and other national officers elected and appointed, Administrator in the Division of Education, Innovation and Energy, Ms. Denise Tobikwashi, Tobago Officer, Mr. Braden Roberts, school other supervisors present, Tobago District Retirees 2019 to 2021, President of the Association of Principals of Public Secondary Schools, Ms. Shara Carrington James, and the Tobago representative, Ms. Cindy Ramnarine, Ms. Marian Kent, schools psychologist attached to the DIE, members of the media, teachers, principals, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. I am Nigel Hercules, and it is my pleasure this morning to bring you greetings on behalf of the Tobago Primary Schools Principals Association. We are indeed living in perilous times as the COVID-19 pandemic decimates our world and rages on here in our beautiful Twin Island state, leaving death and uncertainty in its wake. Educators were asked to make changes that were unimaginable 2 years ago. 15 months ago, the educational landscape in Trinidad and Tobago was changed forever when the dreaded COVID-19 virus landed on our shores. Our schools were closed, and we educators were forced to come up with new ways of engaging our pupils from afar. Chaos ensued as we strove to understand the mixed instructions that emanated from our Prime Minister, the Ministry of Education, and the Division of Education. While our leaders endeavored to understand the new normal and create guidelines and policies, innovative teachers and principals put their shoulders to the wheel, began to retool and reskill themselves to meet the demands of these new forms of engagement. They dipped into their own pockets and bought devices for themselves and for needy students well before the powers that be even thought that these were critical. Again, out of their own pockets, many of them upgraded their internet and paid for Zoom, Seesaw, and other platforms to engage with their pupils. They trained themselves and assisted their colleagues in navigating the intricacies of these platforms. Term 3 2020 was a baptism of fire for many of our educators as they engaged their pupils through trial and error. Some became expert, while many were frustrated as the inadequacies of these new forms of engagement became evident. But still, they labored on, determined in their duty to continue to provide educational opportunities for their charges. These were labors of love, driven by passion, innovation, and commitment. And for this, we thank you. You proved that when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. At this point, I want to thank those at our Division of Education, Innovation, and Energy for leading the charge in providing training and support for teachers and principals very early in this new normal. Also, for being the first to provide devices for pupils and teachers who give you praise. Your support is deeply appreciated. Your efforts have made the task of teaching and learning here in Tobago a little less strenuous. And through it all, our union stood with us, supporting and protecting us all the way, every day. Their advocacy has given us a seat at the decision-making table and has been instrumental to us effectively navigating the new normal in our education system. And so, as we celebrate this 81st anniversary of the Tobago Teachers Get Together, we, the members of TUPSPA, acknowledge the need for continued recognition and celebration of all our educators. We praise your efforts in these tough times. Thanks for being among the heroes of this chapter of our nation's story. Tough times don't last, but tough people do. Thanks for toughing it out with us. I thank you.
Pleasant good morning to all of you. Thank you very much, Madam Chair, for the introduction. To the Secretary of Education, Innovation and Energy, the Honorable Marston Melville Jack, I greet you and say good morning. Bishop Claude Berkeley, featured speaker for this morning. President of Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association, Ms. Antonia Tika de Freitas, and other national officers elected and appointed. I am one who will differ a little and depart from the protocol and say I greet the rest of all of us who have already been identified by the chair in the interest of managing screen time on our virtual platform. I say good morning to all the rest of all of us who've been identified this morning. Good morning. I grew up in a household hearing from my father, now deceased, Wilford T. Carrington, of Teachers Get Together. It was a verb, and of course the event was a noun, and it, as he enunciated from time to time, was something that all of us in Tobago looked forward to. I remember Mr. Powder at one of our get-togethers talking about Miss Parker's shiny cloth that sells out in town in the middle of May and June, because it's Teachers Get Together month. I think he would have been more than proud to say to you, all of us, congratulations on your 81st anniversary. It is not the same now, is it, as back then? Look at us now, online, virtual. This is an event pandemic impacted by distance, but technology, thank God, has minimized and compressed time, compressed distance, synchronized the time, and allow all of us now today to enjoy the 81st anniversary of the Teachers Get Together. It is now normal to speak of being normal, and being normal is new, and that is abnormal. To speak of normal. The fact that contrarily there is now a normal time in a pandemic speaks contrarily of something that we could not have conceptualized prior to now. I feel that maybe in our innovative thought, we need to reference these times as post-pandemic times. When we get there, we need to speak of these times in a similar manner of BC, before Christ, and AD, and then now maybe PPT, post-pandemic times. It is different. And we're trying to get to a new normal. To the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association and the National Tutor membership, it is my honor to bring greetings to you on behalf of the Association of Principals of Public Secondary Schools of Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean Association of Principals of Secondary Schools, CAPS, both of which I am humbled to lead. I'm particularly heartened to so do because there is a commonality of thought and a singleness of intent in our organizations at this time. Embracing the new normal, driven by passion and leading through innovation. And that is your theme for today, and that of CAPS's 28th Biennial Conference, hosted by Trinidad and Tobago from the 26th of July to the 31st of July this year, is themed Breaking Barriers, Transitioning Beyond the Norm. And therefore, I feel at home on a platform here with a singular intent with our Tutor Tobago district, and I say congratulations. We will respect the invitation you've extended to me today and to our organization as well, and return that courtesy by inviting all of your principals and teachers or parents and students to our own conference as we partner in the education sector. So today we talk embracing, embrace, defined as something we as Trinbagonians feel that we're good at. So the pandemic has hit us and all of a sudden we realize that we can't embrace and we can't hug and we're good at this thing. But are we really? In the verbification of the word embrace, which means to hold closely, affectionately, and so on, Oxford Dictionary, but we need now not just that nounification that we think we have, we know what embrace means, and to action that word that you have in your theme this morning, apply its alternative meaning that says we should accept willingly and to action Trinbagonians in a very, very positive way, that we need to move forward. I want to say that the sentiments that have been expressed must embody emotion, they must embody passion. It could only be achieved wholeheartedly in the virtual realm. I'm now realizing that you have me on twice. Okay, anyway. But we need to ensure that these sentiments that I express are wholeheartedly expressed in the virtual realm. It must have an additional level of authenticity, a certain amount of reality to lead to actionable verbification and innovation. We must search in what is called in marketing theory the blue oceans and not compete and beat up on ourselves in the red oceans of sameness, but move seamlessly to think creatively. I recall the excitement when Disney moved from the pictorial 2D black and white into 3D, and we said, wow, the world has arrived. And now we're in augmented reality, AR technology and beyond. We embrace what we will need to have, which is called a growth mindset, in order for us to ensure that we can eventually have in the crucibles of our classroom the innovation of which we speak. Look into our classrooms for the distillation of these blue waters referenced in marketing theory. For it is there we can facilitate the innovations that we need, for it is there the verbification of embracing will happen in the relationships. And I ask Tutor that you invest in the mentoring of your teachers so that they become engaged, empowered, and excited, and ultimately facilitators of change, the change process, that growth mindset must eventually be embraced. I say to all of us this morning as I greet you, that as we culture the minds of a generation in our classrooms, let us grow, assume the possibilities, embrace the possibilities, create and not compete. And just like that cleaning product, the 409, where only after 408 unsuccessful innovation attempts, there was success at 409, I say to all of us, encourage, build the relationship, move into the blue ocean, and let us indeed action the innovations of which we speak at today's conference. We at the Association of Principals of Public Secondary Schools, Trinidad and Tobago, and CAPS look forward to journeying with you, TUTA, nationally and/or Tobago District, as we embrace the new normal. Best wishes for a successful conference today. God's blessings on us all. I thank you.
Thank you for your greetings, Mr. Hercules and Ms. Carrington James. Participants in the Zoom platform are reminded to click the link in the chat to register your name and district to give yourself a chance to win one of our attractive prizes. Greetings will now be delivered by two representatives of the Division of Education, Innovation and Energy. Ms. Sherry-Ann Rollox-Hackett, School Supervisor 3, will be followed by Secretary in the Division, Assemblyman Maslin Melville Jack.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Secretary of the Division of Education, Innovation, Maslin Melville Jack. Feature speaker, Bishop Claude Berkeley. Mrs. Antonia Tika de Freitas, President of the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association. Mr. Braden Roberts, Tutor Tobago Officer, school supervisors and other members of Tutor's executive, principal, teachers, special invited guests, dignitaries, educators all, a pleasant good morning. Amidst this unprecedented period of a state of emergency, lockdowns, and increasing deaths, and the rise in positive COVID-19 cases, I want to begin this address by giving God the praise and the thanks for sparing our lives to see a day like unto this day. Colleagues in education, this is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. For in spite of the economic hardship, the lives lost, the concerns that abound in our hearts, the sheer uncertainty that fills our landscape today, we can each still boldly say, blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. Oh, what a foretaste of glory divine. This is my story. This is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. We are still colleagues in the land of the living. And with God, we will surmount the challenges of educating our children in these times. Let me at this time also ask you to join me in applauding, and you can raise your electronic hands of applause at this time, the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association and Tutor Tobago more specifically at this, the 84th anniversary of the Tobago Teachers Get Together. I say congratulations. Today, I bring greetings on behalf of the administrator at the Division of Education, Innovation and Energy, Mrs. Denise Toby Kwashi. Due to unforeseen circumstances, Mrs. Toby Kwashi is unable to grace us with her presence, but she has prepared a speech which I have the honor of delivering to you on her behalf. Former education stalwarts like William Carrington, Chairman, Samuel Allen, Vice Chairman, Eula James, Secretary, and others would never have imagined that 81 years after its initiation, establishment, and inauguration, this superb and outstanding annual event could be celebrated digitally or virtually. In fact, digital only referred to fingers and virtual meant practical back then. Skipper Mitchell could have never visualized retirees, teachers of the past and present, and other education celebrities and dignitaries would be attending this prestigious ceremony without visiting their barbers or hairdressers, seamstresses or tailors, or rushing in Batters, shoe store, or Millers. No hugs, no kisses, no new shoes, I am sure, and no sharing of toast. This is much more than a new normal, but an unprecedented reality that none of us could have envisaged even 5 years ago. How would Mr. Clarence Warner have met Mrs. Euris Warner? Maybe some single male or female teacher here today would or may have met his or her soulmate at a Tobago teachers get-together. The entire world, underdeveloped, developing, and developed countries, was hastily dragged into the 21st century technological necessities and the unescapable digital future, some literally kicking and screaming because of the transformation required for learning during this COVID-19 pandemic. As the administrator of this division, Mrs. Toby Kwashi is proud of the strides or sprints the DIE has made to ensure continuous education to the students in Tobago from ECC to secondary schools. Our secretaries, past and present, IT, supervision and curriculum units, and most importantly, our principals, teachers, and parents embrace all necessary technological and logistical challenges with grit, determination, and passion. Our teachers embrace every available opportunity to engage, participate, and learn new and innovative technologies, terminologies, platforms, and tools for online learning. Our digital vocabulary has expanded with words and expressions such as Moodle, Edmondo, Google Classroom, WebEx, Microsoft Teams, Canvas, Blackboard. And this Blackboard is unlike the one on the walls of our traditional classrooms. We now know that Seesaw is not only found in a play park. Our dedicated, devoted, and adventurous teachers throughout Tobago toiled assiduously, diligently, and determinedly to professionally equip themselves to deliver quality online learning to our students. Teachers at our secondary schools in particular, and to a lesser extent, our primary schools, planned, prepared, and recorded lessons for online television learning for the benefit of students in Tobago and Trinidad. When did boards become so smart? We know that there were challenges with outdated devices, no devices, low or no connectivity, and parents unable or unavailable to assist their children at home. Our division, your division, utilized every means possible through begging, outreach to corporate Tobago and Trinidad, financial institutions, alumni, generous Tobagonians, and funding from the THA to provide devices for students and teachers. Please applaud our Tutor Tobago officer, Mr. Braden Roberts, for not just negatively criticizing when issues are not addressed, but serving on almost every committee at the division to assist in getting things right during this pandemic. I could say with pride this morning that our principals, teachers, parents, and students have faced this challenge with passion and determination. I am tremendously proud of the performances of our students driven by our excellent teachers during the past year. We have embraced the appropriate technologies and innovation and have soared and lifted this island into the digital future. So on behalf of the administrator and on my own behalf, I ask you to join with me in applauding all our educators throughout Tobago, from Crown Point to Charlottesville, Tutor Tobago and Trinidad, on this glorious celebration of the 81st anniversary on Zoom, YouTube, and Facebook. I am aware that this is indeed the second time you are hosting the celebrations virtually. Colleagues in education, in keeping with your theme today, embracing the new normal, driven by passion and leading through innovation, I urge you to continue to is best for your charges. All in all, continue to innovate as we strive to surmount the challenges and maximize the opportunities that may lie ahead. Ultimately, let us continue to stand tall for our organization and for teachers through this still emerging new normal. Continue to remain ultimate professionals. The Division of Education, Innovation, and Energy remains ready to collaborate with you in our attempts to innovatively determine the right policies and strategies to ensure the quality of education at our various schools. I therefore bid you all a successful and productive Tobago Teachers Get Together 2021 seminar. I thank you. Blessings all. Be safe.
Chanel, but eventually.
Bishop Claude Berkeley, featured speaker, my classmate, colleague, and friend, it is such a pleasure to have you with us this morning. Miss Antonia Taker de Freitas and other national officers, Tobago officer, Mr. Braden Roberts, school supervisor 3, Miss Sherry Ann Rollocks Hackett, and all other supervisors logged on. Tobago District Retirees 2019 to 2021, President of the Association of Principals of Public Secondary Schools, Ms. Shara Carrington James, and the Tobago representative, Ms. Cindy Ramirine, President of the Tobago Organization of Primary Schools Principal Association, Mr. Nigel Hercules, Ms. Marian Kent, school psychologists, members of the media, teachers, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I greet you in the precious name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I also bring greetings on my own behalf as Secretary of the Division of Education, Innovation and Energy, and of the Tobago House of Assembly by Extension. It is indeed a pleasure to join with you today in this virtual celebration of the 81st anniversary of the Tobago Teachers Get Together. After all that has been said and done this morning, it is my simple pleasure to bring inspiration to this August gathering of educators. A few years ago, this occasion would have signaled an influx of our colleagues from Trinidad onto the island of Tobago to participate in our educational conference, Sports and Family Day, and the gala dinner and awards function over the Corpus Christi weekend. Today, in an attempt to keep parts of that tradition alive, we are using technology to join with our colleagues at various locations in providing professional development, building camaraderie, and celebrating our achievements. Colleagues in education, our world as we knew it has suddenly changed, bringing with it unprecedented challenges. But it is imperative that we quickly adapt to the new norm and embrace this change if we are to successfully navigate this new educational landscape. For you, the transition to online teaching, the uncertainty and unfamiliarity of managing your students from varying locations and adjusting to new methods of delivering the curriculum must be overwhelming at times and even intimidating. As humans, we often tend to find change difficult because it interrupts our well-established patterns of behavior and calls for new ones to be developed. But the beauty of change is that it opens the door to new possibilities. Colleagues, our teaching environment may change, but what must never change is the passion and compassion that inspire us all to engage in this noble profession. Author of The Passionate Teacher, Robert Fried, shares that many of the difficult issues in education today can be faced constructively and perhaps be overcome by passionate teachers. He describes the passionate teacher as someone in love with a field of knowledge, deeply stirred by issues and ideas that challenge our world, drawn to the dilemmas and potentials of the young people who come into our class each day. I want to encourage you to always remember that on the other side of your passion are the boys and girls who, because of your dedication and determination, are better equipped to become the future leaders of this, our beloved country. Colleagues, let me encourage you, therefore, to use your passion to empower you through this period of uncertainty and frustration. I join with educator Ms. Deanne Whiskey John in encouraging you to ramp it up. R, build relationships with students, parents, colleagues, and professionals on virtual networks. A, display agility in improving your technological, creative, and your innovative skills. M, manage yourselves and others physically, mentally, and spiritually. P, be positive about change. Celebrate the small successes. As someone said earlier, let us not beat up on ourselves. To our retired teachers who are logged on, I wish to heartily thank you for your long and meritorious service to the educational development of the children of Tobago over these years. I pray that God's peace, provision, and protection will surround you in all your future endeavors. Let me also take this opportunity to express my profound gratitude to you, principals and teachers, for rising to the occasion in this period of transition, for becoming agents of change whose dedication would ensure that our students are effectively equipped for life in this constantly changing environment. Let me conclude with these words from the Black Stallion, and it seems as though Calypsonians are very popular this morning. For we country facing its darkest hour, so our people need us today more than ever. But in our fight to recover, if ever you feel to surrender, it have one little thing that I want you always to remember. I cannot sing at this time, but those of you who have a singing voice can join in if you wish. We could make it if we try, just a little harder. If we just give one more try, life will be much sweeter. Ladies and gentlemen, colleagues in education, God bless you all. I thank you.
I certainly would not attempt to sing that song. Thank you, Assemblyman Maslin Melville-Jack and Miss Rollux Hackett, for your greetings and your words of encouragement. At this time, Miss Ria Paria, a teacher at the Signal Hill Secondary School, will bless us in song.
But time will heal. Heavy the load, the cross I bear. Lonely the road I trod, I dare. Shaken, but here I stand. Still I press on. Long are the nights, the tears I cried. Dark are the days, no sun in the sky. Yet still I rise, never to give up, never to give in against all odds. Yet still I rise, high above the clouds. At times I feel alone, still I rise. Sometimes I'm troubled, but I'm not in despair. Struggling, I make my way through. Trials, they come to make me strong. I must above all my problems, above all my eyes can see. I know that God is able to strengthen me, to strengthen me. Yes, still I rise, never to give up, never to give in against all odds. Yet still I will rise high above the clouds. At times I feel alone, yet still I need to know which way to go, yet still at times I feel alone, yet still yet still I yet still I
Thank you, Ms. Paria, for your lovely rendition, and I know that our teachers have already begun to rise. At this time, I would like to take the opportunity to recognize our elected national officers. President, Ms. Antonia Tika de Freitas, First Vice President, Mr. Marlon Seals, Second Vice President, Ms. Curla Robertson Thomas, Third Vice President, Mr. Darren Leehim, General Secretary, Ms. Katie Beckles, and Treasurer, Mr. Cuthbert Joseph. We also acknowledge the presence of our former elected national officers. As part of today's activities, our intention is to highlight two cohorts of retirees who have toiled in the vineyard of education. The first cohort consists of members who retired from the education fraternity within the period 2019 to 2020.
Stewart has retired with distinction after 33 years of excellence in the field of education. Her last leg of mentorship was at Ebenezer Methodist Primary School. Her words of advice to us: whatever you do, you must do it to the best of your ability. When in doubt, ask yourself, will this make me a better person? If the answer is no, then do not do it. Life is about choices. Miss Bernadette Broom Stewart. Miss Patricia Wave has retired from Scarborough Roman Catholic Primary School after 40 years of astounding contribution to the field of education. She reminds us that teaching is a vocation, and despite the challenges, the God who called us will enable us, Ms. Patricia Waif. Teaching is the mother of all professions. A teacher epitomizes knowledge way beyond the stratosphere of a classroom and creates a catalyst that engenders lifelong learning. This is food for thought, served by Miss Aura Arthur Best, upon completing 30 years of distinguished service in the field of education, with her last stint at the Speyside Anglican Primary School. Miss Aura Arthur Best. Miss Louisa Best Hercules gracefully transitions to another stage of life's exciting journey after 39 years of contributing to our nation's most precious resources. Her last leg of mentorship was at Speyside Anglican Primary School. Miss Beth Hercules' message to us: in life, what you do makes a difference, and you must decide what kind of difference you want to make. Miss Louisa Beth Hercules. Miss Mary Rogers is ever grateful for the pleasant memories of the past 41 years, with the most recent being at Scarborough Roman Catholic Primary School. Her personal credo: as a teacher, I am called to be a waymaker for every child in my care. Miss Mary Rogers. Mr. Gareth Gray transitions from the St. Andrew's Anglican Primary School to another exciting leg of life's journey. This after 34 years in the field of education. His personal credo: therefore, all things whatsoever ye will that men should do to you, do ye even so to them, for this is the law and the prophet. Mr. Gareth Gray. Teaching is my passion. I especially enjoy seeing the slow learners make their stride. These are the passionate words of Miss Charmaine Dinoon Keto. Miss Charmaine Dinoon Keto has given 43 years of committed service to the nation's children. Her last stint of mentorship was at the Mason Hall Government Primary School. Miss Charmaine Dinoon Keto. Teaching is to the mind what food is to the body. A mind well taught can accomplish great things once it is molded through the indispensable art of teaching. I believe that every child can learn, and the teacher has the power to make a marked difference in the life of a child. To teach is to touch a life forever. These are the profound words from Miss Gail Ewing as she gracefully embraces the next stage of life's journey. Miss Ewing moves on from Blackrock Government Primary School after devoting her professional life to molding and mentoring our nation's most precious resources. Miss Gail Ewing. Miss Alison Moore Potts has retired with distinction after 38 years in the field of education. Miss Alison Moore Potts' last stint was at the Signal Hill Secondary School. She shares this solemn message with us: I am crucified with Christ. Nevertheless, I live. Yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. And the life which I now live, I live by the faith of the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. Miss Alison Moore Potts. Given the right opportunity and tools which to work, it can become the game changer in our educational pursuit for our children. Once we remain faithful to our calling, every child can achieve his or her full potential. These are the thought-provoking words of Miss Cecilia Moore as she transitions from a committed 22 years service in the field of education. Miss Cecilia Moore moves on from the Delaford Roman Catholic Primary School. Miss Cecilia Moore. Miss Marion Morrison Pitt embraces a new beginning with pleasant memories of the past 30 years. The time she committed to nurturing and empowering in a way that only a teacher could. As she moves on from the Pentecostal Light and Life Foundation High School, she encourages us. Whatever you do in words or deed, do it as a representative of the Lord Jesus. Miss Marion Morrison Pitt. We recognize the commitment and dedication of Mr. Burton Orr, who has left an unblemished and distinct mark in the educational arena. Posthumously, we extend our gratitude for his 19-year contribution to this noble profession, most of which he spent at the Signal Hill Secondary School. Mr. Burton Orr. Miss Sharon Martin Melville welcomes the precious memories of the past 32 years in this noble profession. As she moves on from the Scarborough Secondary School, she leaves this message for her colleagues in education. Grasp at every opportunity you have to learn something new, as you may not know what skill you will need tomorrow. Miss Sharon Martin Melville. I am happy to be a teacher, to touch the lives of people forever. The words of Miss Maria Virgil as she transitions from Table Peace Government Primary School. Miss Maria Virgil has contributed 40 years to the field of education. Miss Maria Virgil.
Master of Ceremonies, Tutor Tobago teachers get together. Featured speaker, Bishop Claude Berkeley, school supervisors, fellow retirees, teachers, ladies and gentlemen, viewers, good day. It gives me great pleasure to respond on behalf of the retired teachers of 2019 to 2020 on this, the 81st anniversary of the annual Tobago Teachers Get-Together. The Bible says, in everything we need to give thanks. And today we are indeed very grateful for the recognition and appreciation, highlighting the contribution that we made to the education landscape of Tobago, Trinidad and Tobago, and the world. Life is about living, which means that we must constantly make adjustments as we embrace the new normal brought about by the coronavirus. Here, as we are zooming into this virtual platform, which is still very jaw-dropping to some of us. We are still trying to come to terms with the social distancing and the protocols of staying in our bubbles and all the other safety measures. As teachers of the past, today and tomorrow, our creativity allows us to be innovative as we navigate these challenging and new waters of our existence. As water, we know how to adjust to every situation. But most importantly, as teachers, we find or develop our own way to flow. Today, as we say thank you to Tutor, Tobago Teachers Get Together, we reflect on the wealth of knowledge and experiences gained over the years by our relationship to and with this great institution. We are also indeed grateful to the administration of the Division of Education for facilitating the process. Thanks to parents for giving us the opportunity to share in the love and the development of their children, our children, over the years. Their achievements and successes continue to make us proud as we taught for the outcome to make a difference in their lives. That's what teachers do. Present and future teachers, thank you for continuing to carry the baton with the passion that this new environment demands. As you plant seeds today and tomorrow, may you have a bountiful harvest of success. Fellow retirees, thank you for your dedicated and rewarding service that only this noble profession can offer. We thank God for the opportunity to serve. Please continue to love and take care of yourselves and be safe in this changing environment. So again, thank you, Tutor, Tobago Teachers Get Together, the 81st anniversary celebrations, and may God bless you with many, many more years of celebrations. To your tutor, continue to be true. Dankeschön, merci, gracias, thank you.
Miss Virgil continues to give yeoman service as one of the election commissioners of the Tobago district, a position which she has held for several years. At this time, we invite all retirees of the 2019-2020 cohort to turn your cameras on so that you can be recognized. You can wave to us and we can give a virtual applause for our retirees. I know among them, a lot of us would recognize persons who would have taught us at secondary school and even at primary school. At this time, I'll pause to recognize our current appointed national officers, Industrial Relation Officers, Mr. Brian Valentine, Mr. Justin DeFreitas, and Mr. Kerry Brooms. Education and Research Officer, Ms. Lisa Ibrahim Joseph. Study Circle Coordinator, Ms. Patricia Villafana. We also acknowledge the presence of the only former Study Circle Coordinator, Ms. Angela McAllister. We also recognize our hard-working Tobago officer, Mr. Braden Roberts, and all former Tobago officers here with us this morning. Participants on the Zoom platform, please remember to register your names by clicking on the link so that you can win one of our attractive prizes. At this time, I will announce the winner of our first door prize. And the winner is Miss Maylene Cowie Clark. She was awarded or given that prize for being the first teacher to enter or log into the meeting this morning. Congratulations, Miss Maylene Cowie Clark. As we go to the featured speaker participants, you are please informed that you can place your questions for the featured speaker in the chats of any of the 3 platforms, and we will monitor the chat so that we can address your concerns. Our featured speaker for today, Bishop of Trinidad and Tobago, the Right Reverend Claude Berkeley, is a proud Tobagonian, born and raised in the cultural village of Pembroke. He has been a member of the Anglican laity and clergy in excess of 40 years, going through the ranks from lay reader to his current position of bishop. His qualifications include a Master of Philosophy in Contextual Theologies from the University of Birmingham in the United Kingdom, a Bachelor of Arts with Honors in Theology from the University of the West Indies, a Teacher's Diploma from the Valsayn Teachers College, and several certificates in spheres such as dispute resolution, strategic planning, and leadership. He has a keen interest in history, cultural studies, and mission studies. A retired teacher with over 32 years of experience in education, Bishop Berkeley has taught at both the primary and secondary levels. He served as chairman of the Tobago district of Tutor and is also a past icon of the Tobago Teachers Get Together. He is the current chairman of the Anglican Board of Education and Management. His list of achievements also includes being a recipient of the nation's second highest award, the Shakunia Medal, in 2013. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you our featured speaker, Bishop Claude Berkeley.
Thank you very much, Mistress of Ceremonies. That was quite flattering as an introduction. I couldn't recognize the person of whom you referred. But thank you very much for that introduction. Secretary of Education, Innovation and Energy, the Honorable Marcelin Melville Jack, my classmate and friend, and we have journeyed together in the sphere of education and other undertakings over many years. President of the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association, Ms. Antonia Taker de Freitas, and other national officers, elected and appointed. Administrator in the Division of Education, Innovation and Energy, Ms. Denise Toby Kwashi. Tobago Officer, Mr. Braden Roberts. School Supervisor 3, Ms. Sherry-Ann Rollocks Hackett, and other supervisors and officials in the Division of Education. Tobago District Retirees 2019 to 2021. President of the Association of Principals of Public Secondary Schools, Ms. Shara Carrington James, and the Tobago representative, Ms. Cindy Ramnarine. President of the Tobago Organization of Primary School Principals, Mr. Nigel Hercules. School psychologist attached to the Division of Education, Ms. Marion Kent, a former student of mine. Members of the media, teachers, ladies and gentlemen, friends, good morning and greetings. Let me continue in place of prayer with the words of a hymn. Hope of the world, thou Christ of great compassion, speak to our fearful hearts by conflict rent. Save us, thy people, from consuming passion, who by your own false hopes and aims are spent. I wanted to choose an idea about hope to begin with. And interestingly, the greetings and addresses and comments that I heard at the beginning indicate to me that the situation in Tobago is very, very hopeful. And I had no doubt that it should be in that way. In fact, when I attempted to distribute a few devices to facilitate response to the change that is happening, it was a little difficult so to do. So I want to, from the outset, notwithstanding what I may say a little later, commend the Division of Education, commend the Tobago District of Tutor, and a number of stakeholders for rising to the challenge of supplying our students, our boys and girls, with devices and other material necessary for responding to the new normal. Hope. Let us continue to hope. And for the religious, our hope is in God, in Christ. I wish to thank the Tobago District of the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association, Tutor, for its kind invitation to serve as featured speaker at this auspicious occasion on the calendar of education on this island. It is a nostalgic experience for me, except that I never considered myself one for the exalted position of featured speaker. I was always hustling around, trying to set things in place. So I want to thank the committee for the honor bestowed upon me and the privilege to speak and to share a few thoughts this morning. I'm particularly pleased to be associated with this effort and the ongoing work of the association in the all-important public good of education in our nation. Permit me to offer sincerest congratulations to the district and to Tutor, and as well to the retirees, some of whom were my active colleagues in days past, and to offer those congratulations on the occasion of the 81st anniversary of this indigenous event, originally intended to share fellowship and generate organic synergies towards preserving and raising the level of teacher professionalism and competence on the island. I have no doubt that such noble intentions continue and that they remain as necessary today as they were when the event was first activated. It is in that spirit that I commend the district for its choice of theme, embracing the new normal, driven by passion and leading through innovation. It is certainly deserving of dialogue, observation, documentation, analysis, and strategic applicative responses. Much of what is available for research has come from external sources to Trinidad and Tobago. That is not to say there are no research papers generated, but they somehow do not seem very regular and popular and easy to find. And that is something we must change, because we need to explore and to document and to be able to measure and research the situation and circumstances in our own neck of the woods, so to speak. The theme calls us to embrace the new normal. And I rather like Mrs. Carrington James's reference to the fact that we believe that we could embrace. And as a matter of fact, we know that we can embrace, notwithstanding the fact that it's not a time now for embracing given the distancing that must be observed. But of course, in the use of language, we can extend that appropriately and accordingly. The theme calls us to embrace the new normal, and it has been defined before this morning. What is this new normal? It is a current situation or social custom that is different from what has been experienced before, but it is expected to become usual or typical for some time to come. How long? No one can say. On the other hand, the new normal is a way of living and going about our lives, work, and interactions with other people. Bear in mind that the new normal may be in effect, as I said before, for a long time to come. So it requires change, and change is not often the easiest matter to respond to. We cherish our comforts. We cherish our ease of references. And consequently, once we have to change it, there is discomfort, there is unease, and there is challenge. But what does the new normal look like in terms of school in these days? For one thing, teachers and students have moved from school to home, and that changes the game. Also, teachers and students no longer face each other in the physical sense, but face screens as they engage in online teaching and learning activity. And any number of things can be happening just outside the ambit of the screen. That is beyond the teacher's control and can lead to a number of other issues. Books and pens and pencils are replaced with digital technology. Well, of course, not altogether, because there is still writing and noting, as the case might be, according to the level at which all of this is administered. The buzzwords in teaching are no longer chalk and talk. Well, they should not have been for a while ago now. But the use of online platforms and digital software, and a number of the devices or the methods have been used already, Google Docs, Zoom, Microsoft Office, and so forth, to engage in synchronous or asynchronous teaching. In fact, the vocabulary has changed in significant ways. And again, some of that was expressed earlier. For a number of persons, the adaptation was probably seamless. But for a greater number of persons, there were challenges, and there are challenges. The core functions of teaching and learning require significant adjustment in pedagogy, classroom organization and management, access to resources, the integrity of the teaching learning process in the new normal, and the measurement of progress and individual attention that could be given to slow learners. And the list can go on and can be generated further. What we have just shared is a snapshot of what the task can be. Perhaps we can explore some of what might be required. And there's really no question about the difficulty of the task that you, the parent, and a number of stakeholders face in encountering this new normal. In this new normal, teachers, students, and parents struggle with varying degrees of adaptability, competence with technical issues, computer literacy, time management, the feeling of loneliness, and the issue of motivation, particularly self-motivation. And so it was very heartening to hear of the support given by the division, by Tutor, and the response by teachers and the schools, principals and teachers and schools, in respect of what was to set the tone for going forward. Further, to make most of your efforts, teachers may be required to navigate online platforms for virtual teaching, utilize education technology to transform the content of the curriculum to be as close to as possible to what obtained during face-to-face classes, incorporate strategies which will facilitate a connection between teacher and students, provide support to the students and at times their parents, and many other tasks according to your contextual reality. In fact, most teachers and all students are required to upskill their mastery of digital literacy to benefit optimally from the use of technology and innovation in this new normal. Since we have no sense of the duration of the pandemic and adherence to the new normal, we are encouraged to create and adopt strategies to assist one another, to assist the teacher with embracing the new normal. You have no doubt been doing this, and yet I wish to propose the following. Not exhaustive, but even as a point of reference. 1, you are called upon to support each other because your self-care and well-being must be a priority. Mental health must be attended to. And working together in groups, I'm not the expert, I'm going to leave that for the psychologists in a little while, but working and having support is crucial to our efforts. You may have to ask yourself as you ponder this thing, who do I ask for help? How do I ask for help? What is the safest way to access help? How do I provide help to my colleagues, knowing how fickle relationships can be? Secondly, we are to organize for more competent peers to teach you and other colleagues about those skills which you lack or with which you have difficulty. As students in training college, that was the order of the day all the time. Those who were strong in math would teach us math. Those who were strong in language would teach us language, science, and as the case might be. And we shared that kind of camaraderie, and it worked. 3, Organize to share your ideas and resources with your peers. That could be a problem for some people. Some people will collect all that they have or they can get, but they will also keep what they have. Some people are not into sharing, so there's a call to selflessness. 4, participate in staff briefings to connect with peers. We must connect with peers. So we are repeating ourselves, but deliberately so. 5, be prepared for your classes. Be prepared for classes. It's a different kind of preparation that is required for conducting classes and for evaluating students' learning in this virtual context. 6, support and show empathy for your students. Managing virtual classroom behavior carries its own heavy demands, and that can be quite taxing on every individual. 7, communicate with parents on device and internet issues, student compliance, and related matters. The experts call this, and related matters to it, community engagement. 8, obtain feedback from students and parents so that we can have a sense of better service, better preparation, and better delivery. 9, ensure that students have access to devices and internet and or hard copy material for their use. The challenge expands here because sometimes the delivery of these hard copies and the receipt and return of them can be a trouble given issues for the spread and contagion of the virus. 10, reach out to the community for assistance. Well, that's more of community engagement. 11, enable the development of crisis leadership. If we put our heads together, we can have the answers for responding to a crisis time, a crisis period. And of course, it is different and it requires all hands and minds on deck, so to speak. #12, focus on staff care, intentional leadership, and organizational capacity building. And some of these ideas are derived from the document Frontiers in Education by McLeod and Dulski on a recent research published in March, Resilience, Reorientation, and Reinvention. School leadership during the early months of COVID-19 pandemic. You might find some of the material there helpful to our ongoing preparation and response. All of the above will take some doing, but there is a saying, teaching is one profession that creates all other professions. Margaret E. Sangster wrote, "No one should teach who is not in love with teaching." And Albert Einstein observed that it is the supreme art of the teacher to awaken joy in creative expression and knowledge. That sounds like making strong reference to passion, to create and awaken joy in the heart and mind of the child. It is at this juncture that the notion of the theme rings loudest. It will be most helpful if one is driven by passion and leading through innovation. Remember the theme, embracing the new normal, driven by passion and leading through innovation. Passion, we are reminded, is a strong emotion, or having a strong enthusiasm for doing something, a particular thing. One might speak often of having a passion for a particular undertaking, and as such, participates in developmental activity with a view to building capacity and competence in that undertaking, striving for mastery of the relevant skills. The concept of the master teacher has been with us for a long time. I invite you to think for a moment of something that you are passionate about, something that you love, something that you usually enjoy doing, that which makes you happy and gives you a sense of fulfillment, like the teaching of reading, perhaps, the teaching of math, the teaching of science, the teaching of language. Persons can see by your actions that you have a passion for a particular thing, as they will observe the contrary behavior to that. And sometimes they will comment, his heart is not in it, or her heart is not in it. And that's what they're saying. There is no passion. Nonetheless, if it is a task, you do an excellent job of it if there's passion, with deep commitment and without much complaint. In our reflection today, friends, you are invited to recall the passion you indicated to your interviewers so many years ago about your vocation of teaching. Notice that word, not to be treated lightly, vocation. Yes, it's a job. Yes, it brings in some money and the rest of it. Yes, we look to it for a number of other factors, but a principled response to it, especially of those founders of this Tobago get-together, was that teaching was a vocation. Now, you might behave a little cheeky and say, well, they didn't have anything much else to choose from. Well, that's not the point. The point is the significance of this task of teaching. Its integral input to community building, human development, and nationhood. So that, remember how you sought to persuade the panel about your worthiness and suitability for this noble career. And that if you were selected, the dedication that you will make manifest. As you remember that commitment, let us embrace again, afresh, that commitment once given. It is there. Perhaps you have been disenchanted by one or two things. But someone said earlier, tough times don't last. Tough times don't last. Tough people do. You are tough people. You have produced people of stature, people of importance. You have seen your students become people who are involved in the active operations of our society. You have made your contribution, and you are preparing others to do likewise, because it is generational, so to speak. This is a challenging time, and we strive to recall the passion and to acknowledge that your presence here is indicative of that passion. That is why earlier we attempted to offer some steps that might rekindle and energize that passion. When passion is present, innovation follows easily as one finds ways to achieve one's goals. Your presence here today is testimony to the fact that you have a passion for teaching. Your passion for your vocation is what will assist you to ride the waves of adventure rather than struggle against it. You therefore need to ask yourself, driven by my passion, how can I embrace the new normal? How do I go the extra mile to maintain my commitment to teaching so that my productivity level does not falter? Because the nation is dependent on my output, on our collective output. Now, if all of this sounds repetitive, it is only because I've gone back to Thorndike and these fellows with their laws of learning. And because we are into core issues affecting human development and progress. It is driven passion, led by innovation, that will prevent the achievement gap from widening further. That is what the researchers are looking at. The achievement gap has begun to slide in the negative side. It is your passion that will hold it up. It is your driven passion that will address somewhat the disproportionate impact on students living in poverty and challenged by diversity. It is not a level playing field, and we know it. And we know how we have brought a new world and a new worldview to so many children in different parts of this country, different parts of our island, different parts of our region, by teachers who took their passion seriously and engaged their students in seeing a bigger, brighter future. It is driven passion that can mitigate the impacts on students' mental health. And that's an issue, and that's in the news, the matter of mental health that must not be taken for granted. The World Health Organization has acknowledged that school closures due to the coronavirus have clear negative impacts on health, education, and development, family income, and overall economy. Those are statements of fact. Several guidelines were also given to assist with the social and psychological well-being of the students from the WHO, or Ministry of Education, and other ministries and organizations. And that is why I'm happy to hear of the comment extended in praise of the Division of Education in Tobago that actually provided that kind of support for teachers. That is not often the experience in different places. In other words, some teachers have a different story to tell. We have noted, however, that not much is said about the well-being of the teacher, which is paramount to the operationalization of the guidelines proffered by the various ministries and organizations. We wouldn't get this job done if the teachers are not there and are not fit and ready and are not capable. In this pandemic, then, you are forced to embrace innovation as the leading mechanism for finding solutions to modify teaching strategies which are suitable for students to improve their competencies at home, not to mention treating with parents and varied temperaments. It is a reminder that the teaching-learning relationship has moved well beyond the four corners of the classroom. And still all of this will be best driven by passion you have for teaching. Well, I'm sorry, I know I have gone over my time, but to conclude, John Maxwell tells an amazing story of how the McDonald's chain of restaurants became international, carrying the name of the founders, but not owned by them. They had sold the exclusive rights a long time ago to Ray Kroc, a man of passion and innovation, who in 5 years established 100 outlets. And in 10 years, 500 outlets. And beyond that, placed McDonald's in 119 countries with 31,000 branches and outlets. I refer to this story to make the signal point that for passion and innovation to flourish, we have to raise the lid we place on ourselves. Maxwell puts it this way: to reach the highest level of effectiveness, you have to raise the lid one way or the other. My teachers, my friends, my colleagues, this is the time to raise the lid and let the passion flow. I encourage you then to work on raising the lid you have placed on yourself. That is, you are called to direct increased resources to your vocation of teaching. God has called you to a noble understanding, and in that undertaking, raise the lid, open your heart, and let the passion flow to develop the imagination and creativity that will innovate and get the job done. Holy Scripture exhorts us in these words: whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord and not for men. Colossians chapter 3, verse 23. And again, so whether you eat or drink or whatever you do all to the glory of God. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 31. My brothers and sisters in Christ, my friends, fellow citizens, I thank you for listening. And I hope at least I have said one little thing that might urge and encourage us to do the best we can and to do even more to drive that passion and to innovate in embracing this new normal and bringing the fruit of our labor to the center of life and development in this country, in our island. God bless you all, and thank you for listening.
Thank you, Bishop Berkeley, for your words of advice and encouragement in getting teachers to embrace the new normal, to be driven by passion, and to lead through innovation. At this time, colleagues, we want to announce another door prize. So you focus on your screen, and you may just be a winner. So we have our first winner, Ms. Siomara Rajman. Our second winner, Ms. Leslyn Fraser Celestine. And our last winner, Narish Burju. Mr. Narish Burju. You are asked to please put your information in the chat and we will contact you. The second cohort of retirees consists of members who retired from the education fraternity within the period 2020 to 2021. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, we introduce our second cohort of retirees.
Miss Maria Candia Bristol Darlington committed 39 and a half years to the molding and educational advancement of our nation's gems. As she moves on from Scarborough Methodist Primary School, she has a message for her colleagues in education. Always be the teacher who loves what you do while doing what you love. Miss Maria Candia Bristol Darlington. Miss Arlene Daniel embraces a new beginning with pleasant memories of her commitment to the field of education for the past 40 years. The time she committed to nurturing and empowering in a way that only a teacher can. As she moves on from the Scarborough Methodist Primary School, she leaves this message with us. A teacher who has passion for his or her job inspires his or her students to perform at their fullest potential. Miss Arlene Daniel. It takes a big heart to shape little minds, so remain focused, serve with passion, do your very best, and remember, whatever you do comes right back at you. These are the thought-provoking words of inspiration from Miss Eileen Carrington Wallace. Miss Carrington Wallace has served as an educator for the past 17 years, with her last stint at Charlottesville Methodist Primary School. Miss Eileen Carrington Wallace. We are honored to recognize Miss Charlene Diane Charles, who has served selflessly in the field of education for 27 years. She moves on from the Plymouth Anglican Primary School with a biblical message for her colleagues in education. Show yourself in all respects a model of good works, and in your teaching, show integrity, gravity, and sound speech that cannot be censored. Then any opponent will be put to shame, having nothing evil to say of us. Miss Charlene Diane Charles. Miss Karen Boatswain has delivered faithful service to the teaching fraternity for 40 years with the astounding versatility that only a teacher possesses. She moves on from the Division of Education, Innovation and Energy with a message for her colleagues. It's easy to feel powerless when faced with challenges that seem impossible, but focus on what you can do to improve your situation. Miss Karen Boatswain. Mr. Lester Allen holds dear to his heart the experiences and memories of his 40 years of selfless service to education. As he moves on from the Patience Hill Government Primary School, he leaves with us his personal credo. Teachers are sowers, which it is hoped will forever bear fruits abundantly. Mr. Lester Allen. Miss Diane Adam Lequois embraces a new beginning with pleasant memories of her commitment to the field of education for the past 38 years. As she moves on from the Happy Haven School, she reminds us that every child is a diamond in the rough to be polished to unearth his or her true value. Miss Diane Adam Lequan. When you understand the purpose of your life as a teacher, it's no longer work or profession, but ministry loaded with opportunities to mold minds and shape lives for God's glory. Please be a positive influence. The fervent plea of Miss Antoinette Alfred as she passes on the baton at Bonaccord Government Primary School. This after dedicating 40 years to the development of our nation's gems. Miss Antoinette Alfred. A teacher plants the seeds of knowledge, sprinkles them with love, and patiently nurtures their growth to produce tomorrow's dreams. Quite resounding perspective from Miss Anne-Marie Davis, who committed 34 years to the teaching service. She moves on from the Scarborough Secondary School. Miss Anne-Marie Davis. In all thy ways, acknowledge God, and He will direct your path. This is the spiritual hinge to which Miss Shirley Marshall George attached her teaching principles during her 28 years of duty. She moves on from the Delaford Anglican Primary School. Miss Shirley Marshall George. Try to always give a full day's work for a full day's pay. Words of encouragement that we greatly appreciate coming from Mr. Lawrence Stewart as he moves on from Bishop's High School with 37 years of selfless service under his belt. Mr. Lawrence Stewart. You can learn nothing from life if you think you are right all the time. Poetic justice delivered by Mr. Bowen Jack as he moves on from Signal Hill Secondary School after committing 28 years to the field of education. Mr. Bowen Jack. Miss Alva Winchester Romeo has made profound contributions to the teaching fraternity for 34 years and 7 months. She moves on from the Lambo Anglican Primary School. Mrs. Winchester Romeo's personal credo is inspired by a quote from Maya Angelou that says, "Nothing can dim the light that shines from within." Miss Elva Winchester Romeo.
Assemblyman Marcelin Melville Jack, Secretary of Education, Innovation and Energy. Bishop Claude Berkeley, featured speaker. Mrs. Antonia Tika de Freitas, President of Tutor, and all other officers elected and appointed. Mrs. Denise Toby Poshi, Administrator in the Division of Education, Innovation and Energy. Mr. Braden Roberts, Tobago Officer, Tutor. Mrs. Sherian Ralox Hackett, School Supervisor 3, and all other school supervisors. Tobago District Retirees 2019 to 2021. Mrs. Shira Carrington James, President of the Association of Principals of Public Secondary Schools, and Ms. Cindy Ramnarai, the Tobago representative. Mr. Nigel Hercules, President of the Tobago Primary Schools Principals Association. Members of the media, teachers, ladies and gentlemen, pleasant good morning. Former First Lady of the United States, Michelle Obama, once stated that we are all vested with the responsibility of living up to the legacy of those who came before us by doing all that we can to help those who come after us. As professionals within the education system, I am confident that I speak on behalf of all retirees by saying that we would have discharged this duty to the best of our abilities. The advent of the COVID-19 pandemic in Trinidad and Tobago in March 2020 worsened the already difficult conditions under which teachers and administrators are expected to educate the nation's children. Consequently, the end of the careers of the retirees of the 2019-2020 and 2020-2021 cohorts were marked by the challenge of the current global predicament. However, despite these challenges, the pandemic has also acted as a catalyst for innovation. It has exposed the need for a transformative approach to the delivery of education. The need for frequent physical interaction was highlighted as a major limitation of the traditional way of teaching and learning. As a high incidence of infection prevented this, educators were forced to embrace the multifaceted nature of technology as an education delivery tool. While for some, it would have initially felt as if they had been forcefully plunged into uncharted waters, others would have displayed adept usage of the different platforms and thus enjoyed a smoother transition to online teaching. Irrespective of the category under which we fell, we spearheaded and actively participated in collective efforts as administrators and educators respectively to ensure an effective overall conversion to the new methods of teaching. We are indeed honored that Tutor has gone the extra mile to recognize our efforts despite being in the midst of a global pandemic. It must be noted that many of our achievements would not have been possible without the support rendered by Tutor throughout the duration of our respective careers. Over the years, my fellow retirees and I availed ourselves of the myriad of opportunities for professional advancement provided by Tutor. The most crucial of these being the technical assistance provided to aid in the transition to online learning. For this, we remain eternally grateful. Maya Angelou once stated, "Nothing will work unless you do." In this regard, I would like to recognize the strides that the current teachers and administrators have made in adjusting to the new mode of educating. I also encourage you to press on with an unwavering attitude of perseverance in the face of any new challenges which may arise as you navigate this unprecedented period. Therefore, the theme chosen for today's professional development, embracing the new normal, driven by passion and leading through innovation, could not be more fitting. I anticipate that the insight provided by the featured speaker will indeed be a source of motivation. My fellow retirees, none of us could have anticipated that we would have attained this milestone during such an extraordinary period globally. Many of us would have been deprived of the opportunity to celebrate our retirement in a manner we originally anticipated. Despite this, I wish to emphasize that we are all alive and most importantly, enjoying good health. We should therefore take advantage of the simple pleasures that we are afforded as a result of our status as retirees. For instance, I urge you, turn off your alarm clocks as our daily lives are no longer dictated by time. Do not despair for loss of a daily routine that you had grown to love and look forward to. Instead, reflect on time spent in a fulfilling career as you embark on this new chapter of your lives. I wish you all continued good health, happiness, heaps of laughter, and a wealth of new experiences. In closing, my deepest appreciation is extended to the Tutor Tobago District Executive for granting me the opportunity to express gratitude to Tutor on behalf of my fellow retirees and myself for being that pillar of support throughout our tenure in education. May God continue to bless your efforts as you serve the nation's educators. I thank you.
It must be noted that Miss Elva Winchester Romeo would have actually retired as a member of the Tobago District Executive. Thank you very much, Mrs. Winchester Romeo. At this time, we invite the retirees of this cohort to turn your cameras on so that we can recognize you and acknowledge you. Congratulations on your retirement. We thank you for your significant contribution to education in Trinidad and Tobago, especially in Tobago. Please note that a token of our appreciation will be presented to you as soon as it is safe to do so. Thank you again to all our retirees for your yeoman service. At this time, we have another game, or we have a game for another prize. This is the Know Your Tutor segment. If you want to participate in this game, you simply go to your browser and enter cohort.it, and you will be prompted to enter the code. The code is presently on your screen. You will also be prompted to enter your name. In order to enter your name, we'll appreciate if you put your first name initial, full stop, followed by your surname, and then the district that you are representing so that we can easily identify you when you have won. So if you know your tutor, join us in this live game for a chance to win an exceptional prize. Okay. We have Govey leading on the scoreboard, followed by Miss Moore. Let's see who is going to win this one. For those of us who are not even playing, maybe you can try to see if you know any of those answers. Who was the first female Tobago officer? Do we know the answer to that question? Miss Ruthlyn Antwine. I'm seeing Kimberly Richards on the leaderboard. How many national officers, the elected national officers, how many are there? Do you know the answer to that question? Six of them, and I would have acknowledged each of them this morning. A. Clark of Tobago is climbing on the leaderboard, and K. Shepherd. Which group has the names of 3 past Tobago officers? Pay careful attention to the list presented. I'm seeing some names here. So the list was Anson MacDonald, Claudette Governor, and Rennie Dumas. I was seeing Trevor Oliver. So if you selected that, you would be wrong. Which Tobagonian held 2 national officers' positions? And I know some of you will not get this one. I'm seeing Peter Leslie, Orville Carrington, Rooston Job, Rennie Dumas. Do you know the answer to that one? It is Mr. Job, deceased Mr. Job. Who can vote at a DSRA meeting? We have DSRA AGM coming up in a short while. Who can vote? Is it all tutor members? Is it all teachers? It's only staff representatives. I'm seeing F. Grant of Tobago coming up on the leaderboard. Who elects the Tobago officer? Is it all tutor members in the country? Is it all teachers in Tobago? All tutor members in Tobago? Or all teachers in Trinidad and Tobago? Only tutor members in Tobago. And Govey is at the head of the leaderboard. I'm seeing Sonia appearing on the leaderboard. How many educational districts are there in Trinidad and Tobago? You think you know the answer to that one? We have 1 in Tobago. Tobago is 1. Seven in Trinidad to join us, so that's 8 in total. I'm seeing Miss Moore is moving up on the leaderboard again. Who was the last icon of the Tobago Teachers Get-Together? Miss Umilta Roberts-Henry, Mr. Noel Sosa, Miss Kenetta Bob, Miss Janet Spears. Who was the last icon of the get-together? It is Miss Janet Spears. So here we have Govey in first place, Antoinette in second place, and Kay Shepherd in third place. Congratulations to all winners. I take this opportunity to acknowledge the presence of district chairmen and central executive delegates, especially those joining us from the Trinidad districts. I wonder if you remember how many districts we just said there. The Tobago district is aware that many of our members are faced with daily anxieties. Consequently, we have invited Ms. Marion Kent, a school psychologist with the Division of Education, Innovation and Energy, to address the gathering. Please note again, you can pay attention to her presentation and note your questions so that we can address your concerns. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Marion Kent.
Madam Chair, I hope everyone is hearing me. I wish to acknowledge all protocols already observed and established in this auspicious event. A very pleasant morning to you teachers, those of you who are actively serving, and those who were recognized and honored for your years of service in this noble profession. So as you celebrate today and in tandem with your theme, I bring to you the mental health and emotional health capsule. When we talk about one's mental and emotional health, we are really looking at how well or healthy are an individual's thoughts, emotions, and reactions to his or her daily life events and situations. So, in this new normal, where you, as teachers, are required to navigate the practices of teaching and learning consistently and effectively from your home, in addition to balance the various roles you already play within your homes, families, and communities by extension, during this pandemic, anyone would say that demands of teaching in this new normal may require maybe a superhero, a superhuman, a cyber master, or maybe just a passionate teacher who can embrace the new normal and lead his or her students through this landscape creatively, ambitiously, and successfully. Well, I am here to remind you that to be that teacher, you must be committed to leading with a greater focus on your well-being, as opposed to focusing on student successes, passes, and scholarships. So in this era where you are bombarded like all others and asked to social distance, stay at home, sanitize or wash your hands frequently, and teach all your students, including those who will continue to struggle academically, socially, and behaviorally from your home, you must pay attention to your mental and emotional health, especially at a time when you may, in some instances, feel like you are being forced to have a completely good feeling about your wellness of mind, body, feelings, and interactions, when in reality, you do not feel that way with those at home, even those of your students and your families. When those overwhelming feelings come, I want you to remember your passion. Your passion for teaching, for some as your first love, maybe others your first stable paying job. Your passion to learning. Your passion to caring for your own and others, and importantly, your passion to staying healthy and surviving. And we're moving. So what do you do to reignite this passion? Well, you can consider P, prioritizing all that you are required to do. Placing things in order of importance will help you to develop schedules and routines to get things that are essential done. The hope is that by having schedules and maintaining routines, you will develop a sense of normalcy and stability, as well as a measure of control over the events that occur within your home. A, accept intimacy. As a teacher, most times you may find yourself thinking more about your students than yourself. When was the last time you engaged in an activity legally that excited you, made you blush or laugh, or just gave you that euphoric rush and burst of self-satisfaction? then now may be the time for you to reconsider and engage in activities that will encourage positive feelings and help you to experience being connected, safe, reassured, or in good health. S, set realistic and reasonable expectations so that they can be achieved, thereby offering you a greater sense of accomplishment. Do not be afraid to celebrate your moments of improvements and or successes, no matter how small. S, self-care. Take breaks or stop when you begin to feel overwhelmed. During these check-ins, rather than check-out periods, try to calm down, review and refocus your thoughts, feelings, and physical responses to situations and people. Try your best to remain in the now, being mindful of your present situation and resetting, recharging, and refueling to make another attempt at overhauling all that was likely attempting to destabilize you at that point. I, ensure your health. Yes, ensure your health. When was the last time you had a physical checkup with your doctor? Ensuring you have and maintain a healthy physical self adds to sound emotional and mental well-being. So, consider eating cleaner or healthier, getting physically engaged to be more active, and trying to get enough sleep. All these aid in rejuvenating the mind and the body by extension. Your spiritual health also adds to your overall sense of good health and well-being. So, tap into that higher power and existence of the one you believe in to help you fight the battles of the uncertain, unsettling, and unknown in this new normal. Oh, I want to reassure you that in this time of the pandemic, where we are all experiencing moments of vulnerability, fear, anxiety, anger, grief, loss, insecurity, paranoia, and even compulsivity, know that it is okay to say no. Only you know how much and how far you are willing to go. So when you think you have met your points, just say no or ask for help. So set your boundaries and ensure that you communicate it to your families, your parents and students and administrators and supervisors too. To remain accountable to your role and profession when you are doing your job, continue to do it with compassion, continue to do it with kindness, continue to do it with integrity, but avoid stressing and stretching yourself unnecessarily. It is okay to say no. N, network and build relationships. Develop a mindset that reminds you that you are not able to do it all by yourself. So, as you grow into this new normal, recognize that partnerships and collaboration with experts, especially your young friends who have decided to change seats and retire to go to the row behind, yes, they can also be used as a vulnerable source or valuable source of support for the teaching, learning scenario, or just surviving some of life's challenges. So retirees, you're still in the game. We're still going to call you for support. We're still going to call you for advice when we are feeling stumped based on what the challenges are for this new normal. A growth mindset allows you to feel comfortable learning to navigate the technological and a hybrid classroom and to support each other where possible. Build relationships with your parents as well to help them to support you. So let me repeat that. Build relationships with your parents as well to help support them to support you. Encourage them when necessary and even compliment them when required to. Finally, reach out to mental health professionals as well to help you maintain a balance when you feel like your love or desire for life, teaching, and yourself have been compromised. So to you, my colleagues, friends, and partners in education, I wish you an enjoyable celebration of 81 years of service to the many parents and children of Tobago. But most importantly, I say thank you for all that you have done and continue to do in spite of. I pray that as you celebrate, you also commit yourself to being a mentally and emotionally healthier you. Thank you for listening. Remember to stay safe.
Thank you very much, Ms. Marion Kent, for showing us how we can use our passion and still take care of our mental health. In the interest of reducing our screen time, questions can be placed on the evaluation form, the link for which will be placed in the chats. You can post your questions there and leave your email address so that we can respond to you individually. I want to take this time to acknowledge the presence of all former icons and to recognize former Chief Secretary and future icon, Mr. Orville London, who is in our midst. These icons all began their career in education as a newbie at some time. At this time, I would like to invite Assemblyman Maslin Melville Jack to perform an induction of all the newbies, our new persons who have entered the teaching profession within the past 2 years.
Thank you so much, Madam Chairperson. It gives me great pleasure to take this opportunity to officially welcome those teachers who have recently joined the teaching fraternity between the years of 2019 and 2021. I encourage you all to develop a passion for imparting knowledge, determination for lifelong learning, compassion for every child you teach or reach. As an educator for the past 30 or more years, I can assure you that teaching is much more than a profession. It is a dedication which shapes the character and the future of individuals. So I encourage you to be good teachers. A good teacher inspires hope, ignites the imagination, and instills a love of learning. To you teachers, you may be simply a teacher to the world, but I want to assure you that to your students, you are stars. So keep on shining. God bless you. And at this point in time, I want to again heartily welcome you to the noblest profession, vocation, dedication. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Melville Jack. A function of this magnitude, hosted by the association, is incomplete without remarks from its president. On behalf of the Tobago District, I offer a warm Tobago welcome to our tutor president, Ms. Antonia Tika de Freitas, as she addresses us. Mrs. de Freitas.
Featured speaker, Bishop Claude Berkeley, officers of the Division of Education, Innovation, and Energy, all dear retirees, members of the Tobago District Executive, good morning. On behalf of the national officers, the Central Executive, and comrades in Trinidad, I bring greetings to all education professionals in Tobago on this, the occasion of the 81st anniversary of the Tobago Teachers Get Together. As we watch the situation of the COVID-19 pandemic unfold around the world, many of us may have stood in our shoes and wondered, what really is going on? What is going to become of us? Sadly, the virus has affected every country in the world, socially, economically, and politically. We here have not been spared. We have lost many loved ones. As we in Trinidad and Tobago have used remote teaching as an emergency strategy to mitigate the impact of COVID-19 on our education sector, TUTA asserts the following. 1. This so-called new normal must not be used as an excuse to circumvent the negotiated terms and conditions of education professionals. 2. The state has a responsibility to ensure that education professionals have the necessary material and physical resources to do their jobs effectively. To keep our passion for teaching alive, there is need for continuous collaboration and communication between the division and the union on how best to support educators. Kudos to the Tobago District for maintaining this collaboration. 3. In order to restore our education system, we are called to be resilient and innovative. To our beloved retirees, you have given us many examples of how we can continue to be of service to our students and to our society. Thank you. 4. Our founding fathers had a dream of TUTA having its own facilities. The first phase of the administrative center in Carlson Field in Trinidad is finally complete. Discussions are underway to realize the dream of a Tobago Teachers Center. 5. As an organization of education professionals, TUTA is monitoring the situation with respect to the SEA, CSEC, and CAPE examinations. TUTA is satisfied that the state has made vaccination available to those educators who wish to receive the vaccine. Furthermore, TUTA is considering mechanisms for the reformation of curriculum delivery and modes of assessment, which will ensure that all students continue to receive quality education, education which is a public good. The last year has not been easy for us. However, I'm sure that each of us in our own space has learned or developed some coping strategy. As you participate in this anniversary celebration today, let us share these strategies and ideas. Let us use this occasion as a celebration of life. Let us use this as a celebration of the future which awaits us. God bless and the best wishes.
Thank you very much, TUTA President Antonia Tika de Freitas. I would now like to introduce a special item, the Anyway poem.
Friends, it's often said that this particular poem, called the Anyway poem, hangs on the wall of Mother Teresa's children's home in Calcutta and is often attributed to her. However, an article in the New York Times has since clarified that the original version of this poem was written by Kent M. Keith. The Anyway poem. People are often unreasonable, illogical, and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you are kind, people may accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you are successful, you will win some false friends and some true enemies. Succeed anyway. If you are honest and frank, people may cheat you. Be honest and frank anyway. What you spend years building, someone could destroy overnight. Build anyway. If you find serenity and happiness, they may be jealous. Be happy anyway. The good you do today. The good you do today, people will often forget tomorrow. Do good anyway. Give the world the best you have, and it may never be enough. Give the world the best you have anyway. You see, in the final analysis, it is between you and your God. It was never between you and them anyway. It was never between you and them anyway. Thank you for watching.
As difficult as it may seem, teach with passion anyway. At this time, I invite Vice Chairman of the Tobago District, Mr. Dion Rodriguez, who will propose words of gratitude on behalf of the Tobago District.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. A pleasant good morning and all protocols observed in the interest of time. I would like to start off by thanking Ms. Sheena Kerr, who introduced the presence of God this morning into this program. I want to thank the Tobago officer who would have brought words of welcome to us as a district, and all the individuals that brought greetings this morning. We say thank you to Mr. Nigel Hercules, thank you to Mrs. Shara Carrington James, thank you to the SS3, Ms. Rollocks Hackett, and thank you to our secretary, Ms. Marcelin Melville Jack. We say thank you for your words of encouragement, thank you for your words of insight, and thank you for your words of direction. We want to say a special thank you to Bishop Berkeley this morning, who reminded us of some of the things that we can do as a teacher. And most of all, if we are to drive for passion and innovation to flourish, we must raise the value that we place upon ourselves. I think that that was one of the most profound things that he mentioned in his deliberation this morning. We must raise the value of teachers that we put on ourselves. We want to thank Miss Marion Kent for her, as usual, passionate delivery and for giving us that acronym of passion, where we must prioritize, accept intimacy, set realistic expectations, self-care, ensure our health, and it's okay to say okay and network. Miss Marion Kent, we say thank you, thank you, thank you. To the retirees, it is always indeed a pleasure for those that have gone before to grace us with their presence and to motivate us and to ignite that fire, to give us that catalyst again, so that we that are still in the vineyard will be ignited with that passion as the team today embodied. The team today embodied that we are going to go forth with passion to continue that which is entrusted to us as teachers. So indeed, we say thank you again to all our icons, past icons, we say thank you for gracing us with your presence this morning. It is indeed always a pleasure to have you with us. To our Trinidad counterparts, all the national officers, members of the Central Executive, and all the districts of Tobago that were present with us this morning, we say thank you, thank you, thank you. To our President, Ms. Antonia Tika de Freitas, again, thank you for your words of encouragement. Thank you for gracing us with your presence, and thank you for your delivery this morning. And the Bible says in all to give honor where honor is due. And we want to thank this morning, very specially Miss Nidra Stewart, who would have done the decor for where we see our chairman. You're going to see that you see a lovely background for the entire morning where our chairman was situated in studio. So we say thank you, Miss Nidra Stewart. We want to say thank you to Mr. Kyron Reed, of New Lens Video Production. We say thank you very much for being here with us and giving us and offering us that technical assistance this morning throughout the course of the program. And I want to say a special thank you at this time for individuals. Now, sometimes we see things happening, but we are not aware that there are individuals that are behind the scene working hard. And I want to thank Ms. Chanel Guy, who is our secretary, the Tobago District Secretary, and her team, who were the ones that were the masterminds behind putting this whole entire program together. And I want to say publicly thank her very much for the effort and for making this a reality. We say to you, Ms. Guy, thank you. And to all the teachers that are present here this morning, we say thank you for gracing us with your presence. We say thank you and continue to be safe, continue to deliver with passion, and continue to elevate yourself, lift the value according as based on what the featured speaker said this morning. We want to continue to lift the value that we placed on ourselves. So again, we do say thank you to each and everyone this morning, everyone that have participated and everyone that have contributed. In the interest of time, we have to go. So for those that I have forgot, and though it seemed very tight in the thank you, we want to say thank you to everyone and do.
Thank you, Dion, for thanking everyone else. I pause to recognize the hard-working members of the Tobago District Executive for putting this program together today. Our resilience as members of this noble profession will determine whether we achieve our objectives or not. Prudence Howard, a motivational keynote speaker, declared, "Stay resilient, and you will increase the possibilities in reaching your destination." It is our hope that your stay with us has provided you with further inspiration as you continue to guide our future leaders with excellence. Always remember that you are not alone. Your association will continue to work for you and fight for you. As is customary, we now stand for the anthem of our esteemed association. While we may not be able to join hands, we'll certainly join hearts.